everyone. Welcome to my channel. So I am Dr. Henry. I am a traditional Chinese medicine doctor, study for 8 years. Have a bachelor degree in Chinese medicine, a master degree in acupuncture and tuina, and I have a specialization on philology, that is like Asian books and stuff like that. So basically, I'm going to give you like a small introduction what we are going to do in this channel, and then we are going to start with the first episode, okay? So yeah, the purpose of this channel is to talk about the classics, the Chinese medicine classics that actually are four. So we are going to discuss and talk about each book because, you know, I realized when I actually start to read the translations they have in English, they are not really good, you know, like some of the translations are not really precise, you know. So actually what we are going to do here is like to talk about that, and I'm going to try to explain you in the best way I can, you know, how to read and understand the classics, you know. So the first thing we are going to do, the first thing we are going to learn is going to be the inner classic of the Yellow Emperor, okay? So I'm going to base all my lectures on this book we have here. So this is the book we use in China. This is the book they use for all the students here that study Chinese medicine or acupuncture. Okay, so right now the first thing we're going to do is to introduce the Yellow Emperor Classic, you know. So I'm going to show you here a slide I prepared for you. So we have this slide. Actually, it says a lot, but I mean, it's too much, I think. So I'm going to explain you in a few words what it is, you know. So actually, for all the people that study Chinese medicine or want to study Chinese medicine, I think this is a really important book that everyone has to understand, you know, in order to understand Chinese medicine, in order to treat patients, in order to do everything, you know, related with Chinese medicine. So it's actually a really important book. People say that it was written like 4,000 years ago, and I mean, like some studies says that was wrote about the year 300, you know, we have it here, like 2,000 years ago, you know. The book is, I mean, it's about, I mean, they say, no, it's like about this emperor that is talking with a doctor, you know. So the emperor is kind of asking questions to the doctor, and the doctor is replying the questions, you know. In some way, I mean, we cannot really say that there was only an author that wrote this book, you know. I mean, there is not really an author. It's like maybe a compilation of a lot of different books, and actually that's what they create this book, you know. So the first thing, this book is really important because this book is the basic of all Chinese medicine, you know. It's the basic, like the philosophical and theory, you know, like the basics. So actually we really have to understand this book in order to really understand what is Chinese medicine, you know. That actually is really hard, like us, like foreigners, like we as foreigners, it's actually a really hard thing to understand, especially because, you know, there is a lot of things in the language, like in the Chinese language, that are really hard to translate, you know, and you don't really get to understand unless you really experience this thing. So it's okay, I'm going to try to help you, and I'm going to try to explain like how the thing is going to work. So the first thing that we have to know, the way we are going to learn about this book is going to be really simple, okay? So I'm going to divide it into chapters, you know. So I'm going to try to make a video kind of like 5 to 10 minutes long. I'm not going to really make like longer videos. I don't really like to like make it too long, you know. So it's going to be easy for you to learn and understand. In my case, you know, I'm using an English translation I found on Google. You can actually use any translation. I think it's going to be fine, you know, because the important thing here is to really understand what that translation means, you know. Actually, I think that's what we are lack from, because I review a lot of translations, and actually they don't really have like an explanation. So it's only about to have a translation and read, and yeah, you know, actually in that way it's really, you will not really learn and get what is the meaning of the book, you know. So you actually have to understand what they mean and what is the reason behind it, okay? So that's how we are going to go. We are going to go with the Chinese. I'm going to show you the Chinese text, the translation, and then I'm going to try to explain you in a few words, like if there is something to explain, you know, of course, what is the meaning and what kind of things we can actually analyze from that text. And as I told you before, I'm not going to talk about all the book because it's too much, and I'm just going to talk about the most important parts of the book. Okay, so actually that's how we learn in China. They don't really teach all the book. I mean, if you really want to learn all the book, you read by yourself, you know, or you can just buy another book. It just talk about the most important parts of the book. Okay, so we are going to start. Okay, so we are going to start with the first part, and then right now we are going to listen. Okay, so I'm going to follow you with the cursor, and then you're going to try to just read the characters if you want. Okay, so here we go.
乃问于天师曰：“余闻上古之人，春秋皆度百岁而动作不衰。今时之人，年半百而动作皆衰者，时势异也，人将失之也。”
Okay, so right now I'm going to start to explain you the first part of the book. Actually, this is not the first paragraph of the book. It has another paragraph, but as I told you before, we are just going to go through the most important parts of the book, and I'm going to explain you what is the meaning behind it, and we are going to go step by step. Okay, so in this first part, we have to understand that the emperor is having a conversation with someone, yeah, and then it's kind of like the emperor is going to talk about a lot of different topics, you know, during this conversation. So inside this topic, he's going to talk all the things I told you before. He's going to talk about Chinese medicine. He's going to talk about philology. He's going to talk about pathology. So we are going to go through all this conversation with this other person that he's talking to. Okay, so I'm going to show you the first thing that actually here the emperor is asking, you know, is like in this first paragraph he's talking about like ancient people, you know. So as my understanding, I'm thinking about people that lived before him, you know. So we are talking about maybe people that lived 4,000 years ago, you know. And then he's actually asking this person like why the older people, like the ancient people, you know, they used to live longer than the people nowadays, you know, and why they didn't get weak by they get older, you know, like usually as physiological process, as older you get, the weak you get, you know, like you get disease and all the things. So actually it seems that at that time they used to believe, you know, that as people were older, you know, they were not getting weak, you know. So here in the translation we have like 120 years. I mean, it's not really, I mean, it doesn't really says, actually there's not these 20 years. It just means, I mean, here we have the number 100, but it doesn't really mean 100, you know. It just means that they live longer, you know, they live like long period, you know. And actually, yeah, he's asking this question, like why like people used to live longer and right now they live like less, you know, than they used to live, and why they get weak, you know. And then at the end, to finish the question, he's asking if this has to do with the nature, you know, or it actually has to do with people behavior, you know. So actually here they translated as man's faults, you know, but in some way it just means like how people live nowadays. I mean, nowadays for them, you know, at that time. So he's asking if it's actually something related with the nature or it's just because of how the people were living that days, you know. Okay, so the second part we are going to see, actually this is the reply. So in the first part we have the question, right now we have the reply. Okay, so we are going to listen, and then I'm going to guide you with the cursor, and then you're going to listen the thing, and then we are going to explain you. Wait, okay, so we have here, okay, we're going to start.
岐伯对曰：“上古之人，其之道者，法于阴阳，合于术数，食饮有节，起居有常，不忘坐牢，故能行与神俱，而尽终其天年，度百岁乃去。”
Person is a name. This is the person that is replying to the emperor, you know. Here we translate it as 吃破, but yeah, I mean, it can be, you know, 吃破, yeah. So actually she's trying to explain. So actually what she meant here is like the ancient people, you know, the ancient people, actually they used to go by the laws of the Tao, you know. So Tao is the actually was the main religion in China for many years, you know. Actually, what he said here is actually people used to live according to the Tao, you know. They used to live according to the changes of the yin yang, you know. So when he says here about the changes of yin yang, or like the pattern, they follow the pattern of the yin yang, what he means is actually that this example to see this is like they live according to the 4 seasons, you know. It's kind of like one is cold, one is hot, you know. So we have summer is really hot, we have winter is really cold. So actually they live according to that. So I mean, what it means that is like they were, for example, in summer they were eating certain food, they were doing certain activities, wearing certain clothes, eating certain medicine. So actually that helps them to be healthy, you know. So that's what he means. Okay, so the second part. So the first thing is like, the first thing we have to know is like why people used to live longer before, you know. The first thing is like they were living according to the Tao, you know, the religion Tao. Okay, the second thing, they were actually living according to the changes of the yin yang. Okay, the third thing we have here this yes. So actually here we translated as numerical symbols, you know. So, and I mean, if you read it, you will be like, what, you know, you will not really get the thing, you know. So actually what we mean here, what I understand, you know, as an specialist here, is like, I mean, you know, in Chinese medicine, you know, and in Chinese culture, not only in Chinese medicine, they are based on the lunar calendar, yeah, and there is a lot of studies of cosmology. Actually what it means, like, it's kind of like numerology, you know, and it's also related with cosmology. So it's kind of like the study of the moon and the phases of the moon and how affects the thing we have is about consumption of food and drinks, you know. So we have here Shiyin, Yojie. So actually what it means is like the Asian people, you know, they used to eat like with moderation, you know. So actually what we mean here is like they used to eat like healthy food, you know, according to like I told you before, according, for example, to the seasons, or according to the organs, or what type of food is good when you're sick and things like that. So they used to live according to that, you know. The third thing, the fifth thing we have is like they live their daily life with a regular pattern, you know. So they have kind of like regularity, you know. They didn't do anything in excess or did something too much, you know. And the sixth thing, you know, is like they didn't get really tired, you know. They didn't really overwork, you know. If you want to really understand it, that is really common nowadays in our society to work a lot. And he said that actually for this reason, you know, that actually these 6 reasons, so I'm going to do it again, I'm going to explain you again. So the first reason is the Tao, you know. The second reason we have the yin yang, I told you before. So the third reason is the numerology and cosmology thing. The fourth reason is about the food. The fifth reason is like they live with regular things, you know. I mean, they have discipline in some way, you know. And the sixth reason, I went down. And the sixth reason is like they didn't have like exceed of overwork, and they were not really tired in some way, you know. So they knew when to stop. So, and because of all these, you know, I mean, we have here like kind of like we can actually translate this as the body, you know, and the spirit, you know, they were one together. So actually what it means is like when your spirit and your body are together, you're in harmony, you know. So no disease will come and you will be healthy, you know. So, and that was actually the reason, and actually at the end we have here, actually that was the reasons why the Asians were living more than 100 years. So we are going to leave the video here for today. I'm going to try to post another video maybe the day after tomorrow or tomorrow. I will do it as soon as I can, because actually my purpose this time was to finish the whole first chapter, but I realized that it's a lot of information for the first time. So yeah, I mean, I hope you like it. Just follow and try to comment if you have any questions, if you have I don't know, any ideas, or just let me know what you think about the videos. Okay, thank you a lot. Have a good day. Bye bye.